Every time there's a school shooting, the question that immediately arises is how could this have been prevented? My next guest says the answer is a national standard for active shooter prevention. Chris-Grollnek has created that standard and says these school shootings are preventable. He's here now to explain. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Terrence. How are you today?
Doing well. Let's start with this idea that school shootings are preventable. Is that realistic? And can you actually prevent everyone who intends to shoot up a school from actually following through?
Well, I think they're absolutely preventable. The FBI has demonstrated twice in the past 2 months. They've arrested two 16-year-old female teenagers and their friends with plans to do massive shootings. And the warning signs are there on every one of these that we historically look back on. I'm not sure you can prevent 100%, but what we can do is be prepared at the level of prevention and then move. If something fails, be prepared to respond.
So why don't you explain this national standard that you're trying to push?
Absolutely. Well, there's several centers out there that do active shooter prevention, and there's about 1,000 quote unquote experts out there that teach prevention. And it's well received. However, it's preventing loss of life during an event. And what the new model would demonstrate is preventing the first shot from even happening, because there would be intervention steps. And should those miss, then you move into a response, and then you move into what type of response through options. So we're rolling out a national standard called the PRO system, P-R-O, Prevention, Response, and Options.
How is this national standard that you're rolling out being accepted nationwide? What are people saying about it?
So far, it's doing very well. We're in a couple states. We're moving in with different systems through an IT setting, if you will, and I'm not versed well enough to speak to it. However, it's a framework, a prevention model that intervenes and actually dictates what people do from a matrix, more than just to see something, say something like we saw after Sandy Hook, but more of a prevention model, and an ability to interact and hold people accountable to actually do that. And then through response, kind of changing the standard. We changed the standard after Columbine. That is a great standard. Find the shooter, stop the shooter. But we've seen several schools where that just doesn't work. To date, there's been 22 states, and there's been 45 kids shot this year in school shootings, resulting in 9 total deaths. And that's probably 9 too many, because each one of those historical lookbacks could have and should have been prevented, but there was a disconnect somewhere. And instead of a lawsuit or a terrorism charge or a reactive measure, we should go left of what happened and start from there. And then should something occur, be prepared to respond accordingly with an apparatus, for example, a ballistic shield or something like Wing Shield that's available on the market commercially and privately.
Well, Chris, we'll have to leave the conversation there, but we appreciate the work that you're doing in this sphere, and we hope that ultimately we won't have to talk about these sorts of situations again. Thanks so much for being on with us this morning.
Always good to talk to you, Terrence. Thank you.
You as well. Take care.